Hello guys, let's get that audio check done. Make sure my audio's good. One of my dogs seems to be trying to compete with me. All right. Something different. I've never done an intro like that before on any of my live videos. Thank you guys. Thank you moderators for being there. We have a special presentation today. As you guys know, in the archaics analysis, we hold to fundamental tenets, and that these tenets must be reached in everything that we research in order for us to give something a pass, or for us to completely disqualify a claim, an observation, or a publication, a periodical, something that is claimed either in the media or in the personal. You know that the subject matter of my channel is Archaix, which is an acronym. It is a play on words for archaic, because Archaix is still, I mean, in the English-speaking world, as far as I'm concerned, it is the very first platform to use the historical record in order to show that we are living inside of a construct, a simulated holography. So this has been the subject matter of my channel, 800 and something videos, largely 400 of them are all on advanced calendrics. This is what Archaix is about. It's advanced research of chronological history of artificial intelligence X. It has been my position from the beginning, and I've invited my community to critique my research. It is my position that what we are experiencing is a completely controlled environment, and it is controlled by something very, very ancient. I call it AIX, Artificial Intelligence X. Now, you know that we have done in the past, we have done a deep dive into the different paradoxes. I have videos that explain the 7 major paradoxes, from the Fermi paradox, the dichotomy paradox on down, and the result of each paradox is the inescapable conclusion that we're in a construct. Now, the subject matter of this video was brought to my attention by posts on Twitter X of an Ashton Forbes, who came to my attention because he seems to be a logician such as myself, and I like to remove the dross to see what's left behind. The Archaix research is about eliminating anything that is extraneous, eliminating all the material that has been attached to a phenomenon, so that we can study the phenomenon itself, and do so from multiple different vantage points. That's what I'm going to show you in this video. I'm going to show you that what happened to Malaysian Flight 370 is not something that is anomalous in the sky. It has actually happened many, many times, and not just with aircraft, but with gigantic seagoing vessels. I'm going to show you in this video that the US military is very aware of the phenomenon, and they don't know what it is. They have published that the sky is dangerous. So we're going to get into all that detail, all that material here, but Archaix is about the historical record, so it's going to be the historical record that we begin with. You need to understand that this phenomenon is ancient. I showed this video reel, this clip from the very beginning, so you would understand that 3 glowing orbs working in tandem with each other is not something new. It has already been very well recorded long prior to the disappearance of Flight 370. Ashton Forbes is in the chat. One of my moderators just welcomed him, so I know he's here. I don't have time to look at the chat. It's going too, I slowed it down and it's still going fast. So I've invited him to critique my material as well, as I do anyone when I do an analysis. It's an honor to have him here, but he brought a lot of attention to this. I'm not going to be focusing on his data. I will be quoting him a few times, but like I said, I'm bringing all new information to the table, because in studying this, we need to come about it from its periphery, to show, so you guys can examine and know that this is a phenomenon that's been going on many times. One reference that I did not put in this video is from Pliny the Elder, 2,000 years ago in natural history. These 3 lights have been appearing in our skies, even over ancient Rome. So let's get let's get into this. Let me go ahead and remove that intro from the studio so I don't get anything confused. Now, I don't really have hardly any announcements other than you guys know that I'm doing something very, very different. I'm doing something very different. In Virginia Beach, I gave people a taste, but I had made some very sensitive announcements. We did not film Virginia Beach because I wanted to tell those who are in attendance some pretty sensitive things, and they shared some sensitive things. But what I shared was concerning me and the direction of Archaix and what's going on. And like you guys know, we just acquired a 5,200 square foot Archaix operations center. This is where Archaix Academy is going to be focused. This is where we're going to be doing our office material. And what we're doing in Houston is a meetup for the very first time. I'm going to show the operation of the office software. Office can only be accurate as it is if we live in a controlled construct and if we can isolate the actual algorithms that we call physics constants, and we can see that they have predictive value. This is exactly what we've done. So in Houston, my moderators can post the link, but in Houston, yeah, for security concerns, we're not going to be filming this either. But I'm going to be doing office predictions for anybody in attendance. I don't care what you want to run predictions on. I don't care what data you bring to the table. I'm going to show you how it's entered. It's a user-friendly software. It is fully developed. I'm going to show exactly on the big screen how information is input. I'm not going to show you exactly what the 14 different protocols do, but I'm going to describe them for you so you have a really good idea when you see the output, when you see a two-dimensional chart that actually shows you future dates where the signal ratios for anything you're trying to accomplish are an exact match for the input that you put in the system. Meaning, Office isn't predicting the future. Office is eliminating the thousands of dates in the future when nature is moving with you. It's removing all that dross, all those future dates when nature is not moving with you, when those signal ratios do not exist in your life, on those days where no matter how hard you work, you get nothing done. It's removing all those dates, and it's only isolating the few dates in the next 6 months that nature is moving with you in the same way as the dates you presented and entered into the system. It's magnificent. We've done back testing for 6 years and been sharing it with you guys, but now it's time to start slowly going into a public reveal, and we're going to be doing this in meetups, and our venue only holds at the max 200 people, and I know we've already sold a bunch of tickets very fast. So there will be nobody coming to the door like our normal meetups. You're just not going to have the seating. That's my only announcement. I need to get on with this presentation. Let me see what's going on. Let me present something real quick. I need to split my screen so you guys can see it better. All right. I'm going to video file. As most of my presentations, guys, you might have to listen 2 or 3 times. It's fast paced. I'll be showing you this is a massive data dump. All right. I will also be showing footage from Ashton Forbes material. All right. Let's see what we got here. Remove that one. I need to remove that from studio. Let's see what's going on here. I don't like that setup. I want to try a different one. Will that work? Nope. Will that work? I like this one. There we go. The sound has been removed and it's been put on repeat. So you guys, I can hammer it into you guys exactly what's happening here. So you guys can see that. Thank you, moderators, for being there. I normally give out the shout outs, but I'm kind of in a hurry. I'm pressed because this is kind of a lot of information. So you guys know that so I have followed the post of Ashton Forbes only concerning his research into Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. Other than that, I really don't know anything about him. I see that that's his focus, but he may be a phenomenal researcher in other avenues as well. I haven't had any contact with that data. I don't know. But when it concerns Flight 370, he's uncovered some very interesting material. And the resistance against him is also interesting because we have applied the Archaix tenets to the debunkers as well in this video and in all things that we do, because debunking has become basically a counterintelligence move in the community. You guys know intelligence agencies are rife throughout the entire truther community, and they do some ingenious tactics to get you to disbelieve that something is real. And we're going to go through that here. So like I said, I'm going to be bringing new data to the table that Mr. Forbes has not revealed. And because if it's something is coming from Mr. Forbes, you guys know I'm going to cite it. Now, so Mr. Forbes has been showing that Malaysian airline Flight 370 was the victim of an advanced technology, and he thinks it belongs to the U.S. military. Now, he has shown the original videos filming the plane's disappearance, and he's even revealed that the original whistleblower who gave this video to the public was sent to prison for 6 years. I don't know. These things are very hard to verify, and nor is it even important, because these are accretions. These are things that have been attached to a narrative, and we can pull them apart and still see the truth of the matter, as I'll show in this video. So, but what really got my attention, guys, what really got my attention when I first came into contact with Ashton Forbes' posts on X is the gigantic YouTube channels that suddenly dismissed him. And I listened to the videos and I could not believe the reasons for dismissal. I was like, wow. So so we're going to use opinions to dismiss what appears to be factual. Opinions such as, oh, this is just CGI. Opinions such as, oh, but a guy came out claiming that he actually did this CGI and he laid credit for it. Well, that's not acceptable in the research community. A person's claims must be analyzed. They must be measured up against the whole. Because I remember two morons that put tennis rackets on their feet and tried to debunk crop circles. These agroglyphs are made by the exact same phenomena by which Flight 370 disappeared. You guys remember, long before 2012, I was already publishing books that 2012 is not the end of the Mayan long count. My calendrical research goes back to 2006 when I was first published. Now, for those of you new to my community and you don't know, I've written in between 17 and 27 books. It's very difficult to ascertain because my publisher has changed the size of books, turned big books into smaller books, and so have I. As a matter of fact, Chronicon was originally 5 books. We've merged it into one. Now it's 1,055 pages of chronological history, pretty much aligning 41 different ancient and modern calendars to show you year by year what happened throughout the entire history of the world. That book is somewhere in my library, and I wasn't thinking I was going to talk about it, so I don't have it accessible. But what I'm saying is that is a standard procedure in the counterintelligence community to put people out, other social media content creators, put them out to say, hey, you know what? This is I did this video. I'm the one that did all this. Well, I'm gonna show you some details that pretty much eliminates that as a possibility, and that whoever's claiming that is being deceitful or has been paid to claim that. We've seen this scenario many times. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you 9 very verifiable facts of things that the media and different researchers and authors and famous people said was absolute BS, only to be overwhelmed with data and have to recant their statements later and claim that, yes, it was real. Yeah, I'm going to show you 9 major events in world history in this video, but that's the end of the video. We have a lot of data to go through before that. So, like I said, this could be a 3-hour video, guys. But that's what got my attention. What got my attention was these guys weren't willing to come to the table and actually talk to Ashton Forbes and have a meeting of the minds. Instead, it was just ultimate dismissal. Ultimate dismiss, crazy. So if there's anything that I've learned in 4 years since the apocalypse began in March of 2020, And for those of you new to my channel, that's a whole nother rabbit hole you need to go down, because the elite are operating on the Greek Olympiad calendar, which is based off 4-year intervals. And this entire apocalypse, this unveiling period where the truth is coming out about all kinds of matters, showing us how the world is really run and operated, started in March 2020. And this is something you need to research on your own on my channel. We don't have time to go into it here. But again, I'm always inviting critique of that as well, because I've laid out my case pretty meticulously. But it's whenever mainstream media or gigantic social media influencers tell you that there's nothing to see here, then there's probably something important that we don't want to miss. So also, you guys know, those of you closest to me, you know, I'm jaded. I'm absolutely jaded. I think Russell Brand, Joe Rogan, PBD, Redacted, Dr. Steve Turley, Jordan Peterson, yeah, they all give us some good information. They're not the only ones. Tim, whatever that dude's, Tim Podcast, Tim Earl, whatever his name is. Yeah, they all met well. They all started well, I believe. I don't know. I know Redacted were liberals. They're just like Trump, just like Tulsi Gabbard. They were absolute liberals. And then when the tide began turning, Redacted became conservative, doing conservative journalistic reporting. And then, Trump became Republican, then became president. Tulsi Gabbard switched over to Republican. And now, look, she's always in the limelight. So, no, you guys know I'm jaded. They're all working for the same, doesn't matter, Republican. It doesn't matter if it's Republican. It doesn't matter if it's Democrat. You guys already know I'm going to call it like I see it. One of them is communist Jewish. The other one is Zionist Jewish. Both political parties are still serving Jewish interests. So it's the same thing with all these mega huge channels. They're doing the exact same thing. So there's a very strange sound coming from outside. Okay. But yeah, to me, these famous personalities, they've signed the contract, and they're not looking out for our best interest. So to see the pushback Ashton Forbes got, now he was on Redacted, and they were, they did it, but Redacted's got so many other red flags. It's just, you got to understand, in order to be a really good medium of deceit, you got to throw that truth in there. You got to throw those reveals out there. When the public no longer accepts a narrative, then the elite use other large channels to go ahead and promote the very narrative they've been denying for a long time, so they don't lose credibility. This is a tactic that's been used in the counterintelligence theater for a long period of time. There are many times when the public just isn't buying it. So when they're not buying it, they go ahead and just run with it, tell us that we were right, and then start steering the narrative. So one of the narratives that's being steered is that this technology belongs to the U.S. military, and I'm going to refute that. Now, I'm not saying I'm right, and I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying that there's other information here that shows that this cannot be a modern technology. Remember, in the Archaix paradigm, we are dealing with a situation of an AI construct that has the ability to go into the programming of the past and rewrite things so that phenomena occur in the present or in the future. Because in the context of programming, there is no difference. It's all about coordinates. So these huge channels did not at all reference the many other incidents that I'm about to disclose to you. In fact, it is very obvious they are just gatekeeping. The ridiculous dismissals and the guffawing, like one of these guys, man, I can't stand him. You guys know he's not PBD. He's the other guy, dark hair, Jewish guy with a mustache. He sounds like a moron. And every time Graham Hancock says something, he's always, oh, I can't believe it. And every time he does that, he's like, "Oh my God, man! I need to do some shorts with just the idiocy I'm seeing here and just put them all over YouTube." But they'll probably kick me off YouTube faster then. But yeah, this is like teenagers all pretending to know more about the topics than they actually do. This is a common denominator these days with these channels that have 1 million subs or more, and yet they possess the most boring, unqualified hosts. So, what gets me is that it is common knowledge that the UAP sightings are associated with strange weather. You remember my video on William Corliss where I show the orbs? The orbs, it's amazing. Disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle. They are associated with volcanic activity suddenly appearing. Orbs are seen photographed going in and out the volcanic flues. It's crazy. The caldera are inactive, and then orbs are seen, and all of a sudden there's volcanic activity. So, oh, that was a siren I heard earlier. There's another one. So I live way out here in the country, so it's kind of weird to hear all that. So William Cordes materials show that orbs have been seen inside the funnels of tornadoes, witnessed inside incoming tsunamis. Orbs have been seen glowing in the tidal waves. Figure that one out. Inside lightning storms going in and out of clouds over fields that have crop circles suddenly appear. Orbs were seen over the fields. Then agroglyphs that would have taken 2 men with tennis rackets on their feet months to make were done in seconds. So the orbs are associated with cattle mutilations. They were called Foo Fighters in World War II, in World War I by pilots who saw them from their planes. They are also linked to alien abduction accounts and associated to time dilations, which you know of as missing time. So the orbs in the sky are linked to all these things, and yet when these things are connected to missing Flight 370, the Malaysian Airlines flight, suddenly it's CGI. Suddenly it's all fake. Yeah, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And yet the aircraft is still missing. The black box, which is supposed to be indestructible, somehow deactivated it. Full impact with the Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, still would not have destroyed the black box. So the question is there historical precedent for orbs making objects and people disappear? Is there any evidence that the military and government are aware of the dangers lurking in our skies? You guys know I've got several videos about the machinery, hidden invisible machinery in our sky, and what has been seen when the sky hologram has collapsed in ancient times and cities were allowed to see what was really up there. I've got videos on all this. Super Constructions in Our Skies is the name of one of those videos. So, for those of you new to my channel, welcome to Archaix. Here we put ideas and accusations to the test, eliminating everything that doesn't fit so we can be confronted with what remains. We will apply the Archaix research tenets to this analysis. If something is true somewhere, then it's probably true everywhere. Also, if something is true, it will always be seen from multiple different vantage points. So, we're going to engage in a 3-part analysis. Very fast. Part 1 is the historical precedent for the vanishing of vehicles and people in the presence of orbs. 2, Flight 370's vanishing. We're gonna go into that. That's the shortest section. 3, governmental awareness. We're gonna see just exactly what Congress has admitted. So, part 1 of the analysis. Historical precedent. Let me drink to that. As a matter of fact, let me check this video reel too, because I don't want it to run out on me. All right. Yeah, any of those big channels out there that were debunking this, they're more than welcome to debate me on it. An 8-year-old kid can guffaw like an idiot and sit there on a camera and say that ain't real, that's CGI. I've seen stuff like that on video games. Morons can say that all day long. That is not a debate. It's not even a debate. Part 1 analysis, historical precedent. Charles Fort, 1919, acquired 500 years of eyewitness reports and scientific reports, and he wrote 4 books. And the first one in 1919 was Book of the Damned. In the Book of the Damned, he wrote, I'm going to quote him. In the English Mechanic, July 5th, 1867, a correspondent writes that he had seen a most curious phenomenon near Chatham. It was an enormous triangular-shaped object, black as a raven, stationary in the sky for several minutes before it slowly ascended out of sight. That's really interesting. Equally interesting is the fact that Charles Fort also put, I didn't cite it in here, but Charles Fort also talks about two triangles of light that were in the clouds, and the clouds were moving, but the triangles of light were not, as if they didn't realize that their cloaking wasn't working right and that people could see them. And they were there for over 20 minutes. Now, this was in the 1800s, long before the United States military had any type of technology like this, long before the assist that happened in 1947, known as Roswell. And you guys know, Archaix veterans know. New people to Archaix probably not going to understand this right now, but my Archaix veterans know. When I'm talking about an assist, I am talking about a super advanced civilization that's been existing in our underworld for thousands of years. I am not talking about aliens, extraterrestrials. I'm not talking about anything on the other side of that fake sky. I'm not. So, in Charles Fort's book, New Lands, 1923, he wrote, "There are stories of lights and forms that have appeared triangularly in the sky, aerial phenomena that don't seem to fit into any known category of stars or planets, and no rational explanation accompanies them." In his book in 1931, New Lands, no, that was New Lands. In his book, Lo, it's just L-O, Lo, like look, behold. 1931, Fort wrote, "On the night of March 22nd, 1880, witnesses in Sicily saw a formation of lights. They formed a triangle in shape that moved silently across the heavens. The lights appeared connected, moving as one object, dimming and brightening in unison, but they weren't connected." That is amazing. It's exactly what you see with the Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. It's exactly what you see in all these video clips I'm showing you from all around the world. So, and finally, in his fourth book, Wild Talents, in 1932, he wrote, "A dark triangular object was seen hovering over the Scottish Highlands. According to a report in 1895, it moved against the wind and disappeared in an instant, leaving witnesses bewildered." There you go. There you go, guys. So you have these disappearances have been recorded many times, but in the Bermuda Triangle as well. And I want to go into some detail. Let me share a file with you real quick. I'm gonna go into some detail here about what happened in the Bermuda Triangle. On October 21st, 1978, Australian pilot Frederick Valentish disappeared. Okay, this wasn't Bermuda Triangle, but some of the other ones are. But he disappeared while flying a Cessna 182 over the Bass Strait between mainland Australia and Tasmania. During his flight, Valentish radioed air traffic control to report that he was being followed by a large glowing object with 4 bright lights. He described the object as moving rapidly and erratically, unlike any known aircraft. His last transmission before disappearing was, "It's hovering and it's not an aircraft." Shortly afterward, all radio contact was lost. Valentish and his plane disappeared without a trace. Despite an extensive search, no wreckage was ever found. In December 1925, while en route from Charleston, South Carolina to Havana, Cuba, the SS Cotopaxi was a cargo ship that disappeared. The ship and its crew of 32 people were never heard from again. Over the years, various reports surfaced that sailors on other vessels that night had witnessed very strange lights in the sky of the vicinity of the Bermuda Triangle around the time of Cotopaxi's disappearance. A much larger ship, the USS Cyclops, a massive Navy collier, disappeared without a trace in March 1919. while sailing from Barbados to Baltimore with 306 crew members and passengers aboard. No distress signal was ever received, and no wreckage was ever discovered. Some later accounts suggest that sailors in the area reported seeing unusual glowing objects or lights in the sky around the time the ship disappeared. A famous case in 1902. You guys know, Archaix veterans know all about 1902. The SSS Bannockburn vanished in November 1902 on Lake Superior after departing Port Arthur, Ontario, with a cargo of 85,000 bushels of wheat. So the streamer called Algonquin King spotted her, and the captain noted it, putting it in his log. And he also told his mates to have a look at the majestic cargo ship. But a moment later, it was reported that the Bannockburn was not there. It had vanished. The men of the Algonquin noted that she could have never sunk that fast nor moved away. Later that night, a storm rolled over Lake Superior, and the SS Horonica reported strange lights over the lake. These lights seen also from the beaches of Rossport and Scribner. 3 different vantage points noticed strange lights over the lake. A massive search was conducted for the Bannockburn, with tugboats combing the lake. Captain George Woods and his 22 men disappeared without a trace. Scientific surveys probed Lake Superior again in 1976 and again in 2002, but the vessel is not in Lake Superior. It's gone. Orbs associated to the disappearance of people in vehicles, but they're also associated to the disappearance of people straight out of their homes. You guys know famous cases. There's some famous cases. 1967, Betty Andreessen abduction. The Betty Andreessen abduction case is one of the most well-documented and researched abduction cases ever. She claimed to have seen a spacecraft, small green aliens, but during this encounter, she described seeing glowing orbs of light that seemed to move with intelligence. So she was literally taken into like a dreamlike atmosphere by the orbs. It's a famous case. So 1989, Linda Corteil abduction. Again, this is Manhattan. She claimed to see gray aliens. Now, multiple witnesses, though, reported her floating into something in the sky. During her abduction experience, she claimed she saw glowing orbs all around her. Again, here's a common denominator. Other people are seeing something else. She's experiencing glowing orbs. Remember, we're dealing with holography. If 2 separate mathematical constructs come together, if 2 separate, I'm going to tell you now, this is a famous symbol in astrology. It might change the whole meaning of what we know in the astrological sciences. 2 separate mathematical, I can't do 2 orbs. I wish I had 2 basketballs or something, but 2 separate spheres of arithmetic come into contact. They will create an interference field. This third field is a complete amalgamation of the arithmetic of both fields. What happens in the middle field is that objects, people, living organisms that were in this mathematical construct are now exchanged and basically hijacked into another mathematical dimension in the interference field where the 2 spheres overlap. The middle section here is where all the magic happens. What they see in there is not going to be exactly what we see as observers on the outside of that interface. So, Whitley Strieber, Communion Case, 1985. Again, we are confronted with here's a famous writer. He's citing many, many people who also had the same experience. Orbs are the common denominator in human abductions. 1976, we have the Allagash abduction. This is again in Maine. This is another case in Maine. Kind of makes you wonder why Stephen King's there. But again, we have an alien abduction, and the key is that the victim was watching orbs. Yeah, it's crazy. The initial sighting of a glowing orb was a key part of their experience. So, also we have another unusual phenomena in the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina. This has been going on for like 100 and something years. All the locals know about it. It's called the Brown Mountain Lights. Orbs are often seen. The locals don't even think it's unusual. They're seen like will-o-wisps going over the trees. Time dilations, missing time, strange phenomena, weird weather, unusual things have been reported when those lights are seen. It's called the Brown Mountain Lights of North Carolina. A lot of people had some strange experiences. This goes back over 100 years. Kelly Cahill abduction of 1993 from Australia. She was driving with her husband in the Debunking foothills. She reported seeing a bright orb-like object in the sky, and they lost consciousness. Upon awakening, both she and her husband had missing time. This is a time dilation. It is a result of the interface field. They were in the middle of the field. This is in the middle of the field. You have to understand, another mathematical dimension may not have the same constraints, the same sequential events, the same time. It may be a completely different geometry. Our own field is based off the structuring of a pentagonal dodecahedron. So, well, I'm not going to get into the specifics. This is all very widely published in other sources. But this is the core fundamental structuring of our holography, and this is why all of our physics protocols work within that medium. Another mathematical construct would be different. And we don't know what rules govern that one, but apparently they're able to, when they create these interference fields, to pull minimum material out of one mathematical construct if it's interfacing in the third field, and pull it straight into that other mathematical construct. We're dealing with something that is transdimensional. And when you're dealing with transdimensional phenomena, it's all about the arithmetic. So let's go with that's the K. They were pulled straight out of their vehicles and then put back in the vehicle. And for those who don't know, there are many UFO abduction cases, alien abduction cases, where that is the case, where people were removed from homes and vehicles, and when they were put back, their clothes were in disarray. One shoe was off. Sometimes they've been switched as passengers in the vehicle. The vehicle was safe and on the side of the road, no problem. But no one who had gone by for the last 6 hours ever saw that vehicle there with two people in it. So lots of examples. Lots of examples. Let me get back here to my video clip. All right. Check my chat again. Oh yeah, we're gonna get in some deep stuff in this video. I'm moving fast. I'm going a little faster than I anticipated, and that's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Let's see. So I'm going to tell you now that these historic examples, they pale in comparison to the eyewitness and video accounts that you see here. 3 orb formations have been seen in our skies by people driving down dark roads, caught on home security cameras, doorbell cams, seen from aircraft, from yachts, by many witnesses. If we have this much footage and photos, then what are we about to? Then what we're about to see, it can no longer be dismissed as impossible. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. That's why I'm showing you all these video clips. Before you even entertain what could have happened to Malaysian Flight 370, if you're not going to entertain it as a real, actual vanishing by orbs, then you need to be in the position to equally dismiss all the footage that I just showed here. you need to equally be able to time travel and go back to the 1800s and make sure that none of these people who had no interest in lying were lying. You need to be able to go back and figure out where the where the SS Bannockburn is. Where are all the other ships and vessels that have disappeared? Lake Superior cannot hide a vessel the size of the SS Bannockburn. It's gone. So, anyway, you would need to be able to dismiss all the research of William Corliss. I have the entire source book project, all William Corliss's data. He's a scientist. It's amazing everything he uncovered about orbs and how they're associated to all this phenomena. And he did this research in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And now his books are almost impossible to find. But I have a whole stack of William Corliss down here. These books are packed. I do not have the time in this video to go through all of them, but I do have videos on my channel where I do. And I show you where the orbs are responsible for all kinds of activity. Now, that's part one, the historical precedent. We're going straight into part two, which is Flight 370's vanishing. So let me show you the video clips that I've gotten from Ashton Forbes posts. Let me go ahead and change this one out. I'm going to remove that. I need to present video file. I got to go back to my desktop, so y'all bear with me real quick. Oh, here it is. I'm more organized than I thought. This is the footage of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. So, you see, Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, it was a Boeing 777, which is what this has been determined to be right here. Now, it departed from Kuala Lumpur. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's just a place in Indonesia. Or no, it's in Malaysia. And it was March 8th, 2014, and it was bound for somewhere in China. So there were 239 people on board this flight. Communication with air traffic control was lost about 40 minutes after takeoff at around 1:19 a.m. local time. The aircraft disappeared from radar shortly after entering Vietnamese airspace over the South China Sea. Now, one of the hallmarks of this video is that it's not flying in a straight path. It's not. You're looking at a pilot who is panicking. It's a flight deviation. Pilots can't deviate from their flights. Most of these flights are automatic. Takeoffs, flight time, even landings can be automated. A lot of times, the whole flight is automatic. This pilot here panicked and did some evasive maneuvers, which are very different. The evasive maneuvers you're looking at are very slow motion, and they're very it's not like a jet fighter because of the mass of the vehicle. The mass and weight of the vehicle prevent it from doing the type of Hollywood shit you see aircraft do. Can't really do that with a passenger jet. But what you saw was an evasive maneuver. It was realized the pilot knew something was wrong. So after losing contact, the aircraft was still being observed on radar. Whatever was around Flight 370 doing whatever it was doing, it was jamming their communications. But outside observers could still see it in the field on radar. It made an unexpected turn westward, flying across the Malay Peninsula and then southward into the Indian Ocean. This path deviation was not communicated or explained, and the reason is the pilot was panicking. He was panicking. Several countries contributed to the search efforts, which became the largest and most extensive search in aviation history. You're seeing 3 orbs vectoring. Remember, 3 years ago, I explained to you guys in my video, the fog, mass vanishings. Vectoring is what is being done from a long distance away when you're using a technology that has to hone in on a small specific area. It has to hone in on a small specific area as a range finder. And then once it's locked into range, then it can open a dimensional envelope that will literally pull many materials into a whole nother mathematical construct. This was all explained to you 3 years ago, and I've talked about it multiple times in live videos since then. So what you're seeing, that first object is vectoring. Right now, you're looking at it vectoring. It's not locked on, it's vectoring, meaning somebody from a long distance is trying to lock in on that aircraft. Right now, it looks like they're still vectoring. Now they're locked. It's a perfect spinning triangle. It is locked. That's a locked. That plane's not going anywhere. Now the plane's moving straight. No more evasive maneuvers. It's locked. Gone, just like that. Now, so we are told that pieces of debris were confirmed a year later to have been found on the shores of islands in the Western Indian Ocean, including Reunion Island, starting in July 2015. So then when you do some research and find out what confirmed, it's just a small piece of a flap iron and some all other aviation components, but none of it can be linked to Malaysian Flight 777. This is all misdirection, guys. This is what intelligence agencies put out to get you. They didn't directly say that we found the aircraft. They're telling you pieces confirmed. This is all BS. It's all BS. Because if they found any pieces, they would easily find the aircraft. It's all BS to make you totally dismiss what you're looking at right here. Just like these large channels on YouTube did when they saw Ashton Forbes footage. They just totally dismissed it. They laughed at it and said, oh, it's all CGI. Then they had some dumb witnesses come in talking about, yeah, man, this is my specialty. I do this. I do this type of image and video manipulation. But they have not entertained Ashton Forbes' arguments because he goes through these videos. He entertains the minutia. He shows the spheres actually breaking the contrails of the passenger jet. Yeah, look at the swirling energy around those spheres. This isn't CGI. So anyway, but I don't even have to hear those arguments to know this isn't CGI. I don't have to hear those arguments because the historical record, hundreds of years in the past, already explained this phenomenon with ships and with people. And within the last 100 years in aviation, we already have evidence of this. You see that? 2013, the same thing happened to a jet over Spain. Are you seeing that? That's over Spain. That's not Malaysian Airlines 370. That's a totally different aircraft over Spain. And it looks like they were vectoring, and the vectoring was incomplete. They weren't able to lock on because that plane didn't come up missing. Vectoring could be practice runs. This one wasn't a practice run. They went in and took it. So, the main wreckage of MH370 has not been located as of 2024. Just hasn't been located. Malaysia's final report in 2018 stated that the cause of the disappearance could not be determined. There it is. This plane's the official narrative is it's still a mystery. As of today, the disappearance remains one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history. So Ashton Forbes has been looking into this for a long time and found that the footage that you were watching was leaked by someone who had access, and that we have these suspended satellites. Now, you guys know I don't believe in satellites. You know, I've already told y'all guys from the beginning, NASA is a hoax. NASA is a tax. It's all bullshit. What we do have are thousands of cameras at high altitude being suspended by helium balloons. We've got that all over the world. Now, and I've been saying that for years. So I don't know if it's true or not. Some guy's supposed to have gone to prison for revealing this. I don't know. To me, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter what all the attachments are. So I agree with Mr. Forbes, for it is my own belief that the orbs are a vectoring phenomena. I agree that we're dealing with technology. It's a vectoring phenomena operated by advanced humans in the underworld and not at all by the United States. That's where Mr. Forbes and I disagree. I do not believe that the United States conducted this operation at all. I don't believe that it was a message to China at all, because this phenomena is ancient. And it's just as old as in many of my Archaix presentations. How many presentations have I given you guys showing you that all these mysteries from the ancient world are easily explainable by admitting that an advanced civilization exists below our feet? And that the entire Ancient Aliens franchise and all the UFO books and UFO Abdomina, Little Green Men, every bit of that is intelligence operation misdirection to keep you from thinking that everything is happening under us and to make you believe that actual UFOs and carrier craft and mechanisms are coming in and out of our atmospheres when it's not true. The moon is not a physical object, it is plasmoid. There is no way ships are coming from it. So now, so we get to part 3, moving right along. Part 3 of our analysis. I need to know how long that video is too. Keep showing this little video. This is a nice little clip here. That's amazing right there, what you're looking at. It's amazing. Hang around, Ashton. I will be bringing Mr. Forbes into the studio. Mr. Forbes will be visiting the Archaix community. He's in the studio right now. And as soon as I get done with these couple of paragraphs on what the U.S. government actually knows, we'll be bringing him in about 10 minutes. Yes, Ivan T. Sanderson, Invisible Residents. I have that book in my library. It is an excellent book. Excellent. John Keel is another very good source. Another very good source. All right, let me finish my presentation here. Part 3, the analysis, government awareness. So I will start that over. I love that footage. It's amazing. I would hate to have been on that plane. So in the year 2020, remember about the year 2020? The U.S. Navy officially acknowledged that several of its pilots had encountered UAPs on multiple occasions, with some of these events captured in video footage they have not released to the public. Notice, this was 2020. It was the beginning of the first seal of the apocalypse, the revelation, divulging the truth, even though people are going to disbelieve it anyway. The first seal lasted until 2024, April 8th, the eclipse, when Apollo received his crown, the corona, transitioning into the second seal, when they will begin to take peace from the earth. I believe this is through small arms warfare and weather weapons. This is a Greek Olympiad of 4 years. We're on the second one now. It just began. Now, the time of the revealing. When you will either... This is a time when you will either wake up to the evil that is this world and quit trying to save it, or you'll stay bound to it in the coming reset, and you'll totally miss the exodus that is planned for us. So, these incidents by the U.S. Navy had been documented in the following reports. In the 2004 USS Nimitz incident, Navy pilots encountered a tic-tac-shaped object off the coast of San Diego that displayed extraordinary flight characteristics. The reason they were extraordinary is because it wasn't a vehicle; it was a range finder, and they're very fortunate to be here to even tell us about it. So, in 2015, USS Roosevelt incident. Navy pilots off the east coast of the United States regularly encountered UAPs that exhibited unusual flight patterns and speeds. Again, this is vectoring. The U.S. Navy is calling them objects, inferring that they are vehicles. They're not. Well, alluding that they're vehicles. So these encounters prompted the creation of the UAP task force within the Department of Defense of the United States to gather data on these phenomena and to assess whether they pose any security risks. In 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, released a report on UAPs detailing 144 encounters between 2004 and 2021. Out of these incidents, 143 cases remained unexplained due to a lack of data. That means out of 144 truly anomalous cases, they only met satisfaction on an explanation one time. 143 were still rangefinders, is what I'm saying, vectoring. So the report did not find any direct evidence linking UAPs to extraterrestrial activity or advanced foreign technology, but neither did it rule out these possibilities. What is being said here by the U.S. Navy and the intelligence apparatus is that yes, there is a phenomenon. Yes, it's in the skies. No, no other Earth-based technology can account for what we are seeing. No, we have no evidence that this technology is operated extraterrestrially. This is what the military is admitting to. Now, the ODNI Report 2021, titled Preliminary Assessment, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. It was a key document analyzing UAP encounters by the U.S. military personnel. Some of the findings were that there was no definitive link between UAPs and any known adversary technology like drones or experimental aircraft. None of this could be established. UAPs were considered a potential flight safety concern and a national security threat, particularly around military training facilities. That's really interesting. We're not dealing This tells me that we're not dealing with the United States technology. I believe the United States is very technologically advanced. They can do a lot of things. But there's another civilization in the underworld that we went into an alliance with in 1962, and I have videos about that as well. The 1947 Roswell incident was an assist, but the disinformation by the intelligence community was that it was an alien assist from another star system, alien UFOs coming here, and they crashed one intentionally to give us the technology. The exact opposite is true. The technology was shared to us and staged for the public. The sharing of technology was done in 1962 when we entered an alliance with an underground civilization, and one of the conditions of that alliance resulted in the public becoming knowledgeable in what is known as close encounters of the fourth kind. This is when the alien abductions began. This is when human females were being abducted on the regular, starting in 1961 and 62, and it became a thing. And this is when they began implants. This is when fetuses and were surgically removed. This now goes into the research of Dr. Roger Lear, who studied the implants. We don't have time for that in this video, but my prior presentations show the phenomena, what was going on. 1962, the U.S. military, or maybe the entire industrial military complex worldwide, entered into negotiations with a more advanced, more ancient species underneath us. It's been there all along, which is the subject matter of many other Archaix videos. But in 1962, these negotiations were solidified after the subterranean culture gave us their technology, but they didn't give us everything. So anyway, the report emphasized the need for better reporting systems and improved data collection to understand the nature and origin of the UAP orbs. So the Department of Defense has officially received funding to figure out what in the hell's going on. So while the U.S. Navy has acknowledged unexplained phenomena in the sky, No official report has yet linked UAPs to missing military or civilian aircraft. The phenomena reported by military pilots, such as objects moving at incredible speeds, changing direction rapidly, demonstrating flight characteristics beyond known human technology, defying everything we know of G forces and what it would do to the human body, these are treated as unexplained events. U.S. military documents use euphemisms to cover everything that's basically in the conspiracy truther community. Now, in 2022, U.S. congressional hearings on UAPs revealed that the government has continued to collect and investigate UAP reports through the newly formed All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. In these hearings, it was reiterated that the primary focus of UAP investigations is national security and safety of flight for both military and civilian pilots. Congress pressed for more transparency regarding UAP research and its findings. So, in conclusion, vectoring is to guide something. That's what it is. It's to guide something from a distance. It's to change the direction of or the thrust of an engine for steering. You saw how that plane changed directions. Now, vectoring is a technology operating from outside the simulacrum. Outside the simulacrum. And I think outside the simulacrum also involves an underworld civilization, something that we have to go below the surface to access. Now, vectoring appears to be erratic, defying the laws of physics. For example, UFO activity. These often activate a dimensional envelope, pulling aircraft and ships completely out of the simulacrum, our construct, into an entirely different mathematical construct. Vectoring is used for we have vectoring in the military, but it's far more primitive. This type of vectoring is we are seeing the orbs. They look like orbs to us, but it's like a pin light from a distance. There's nothing in between but what you see on the wall. All it is a rangefinder. It's a three-dimensional rangefinder that's being operated from a great distance. And when the rangefinder locks on a target, then the vectoring is over. Then it's locked on. Once it's locked on, all it has to do is guide that vehicle into the interface envelope. The third, where the two different arithmetics collide. Once it's in that field, the greater arithmetic can then pull that vehicle straight out of our holography. I'm making it sound far more simplistic than it is, but then again, it must be kind of simple because we're sitting here watching it right now. So again, you can't go by optics. I am on board with the fact that it could be very possible that the footage that we're seeing has been doctored, and it would have been doctored by intelligence agencies and then released to the public so that it could be debunked later, when actually it's very, very accurate to the original footage. What I'm saying is Ashton Forbes is correct. Orbs, this vectoring, this is what happened to Flight 370. But at the same time, intelligence agencies have been very busy throwing all these smoke trails out, because once you invest your faith in like video footage, then the rug can get pulled out of you. So I'm saying it's possible that this video footage could have been doctored by intelligence agencies before they released it to the public. But that's just a possibility. They're slick. They're very good at what they do. So here's where Ashton Forbes is showing how the orbs under thermal imagery are passing through the exhaust of the jet engines and actually moving them. Oh, I ran out of a video. Hold on. Yeah, you see this? Look at the orbs. They're passing through the exhaust and cutting into it. That's high velocity, high altitude exhaust. It shows that these little orbs as energy fields are actually there. This is not a doctored image. This is an original image. He shows many of these little things. Here's just one right here. I always thought that was rather fascinating. So To conclude, told you I was going to give you examples of debunking. Well, let me give you 9 of them real quick before we bring Ashton in. You guys know, debunking is a counterintelligence operation. The NSA mass surveillance revelations of Edward Snowden were denied. All media denied it. U.S. military, intelligence, everybody claimed Edward Snowden was lying. Listen, he said that the NSA and everybody else in the U.S. government were conducting mass surveillance on citizens. It was debunked across the board. Only later, totally admitted to in declassified documents. Edward Snowden has been vindicated. The U.S. Gulf of Tonkin incident, 1964. You guys know about the Tonkin incident. It was used to get us in the Vietnam War. Again, totally debunked. No, the military wasn't involved. No, we didn't set our own ship up. No, declassified military documents admit exactly what everybody accused the government of doing. It was debunked, and then the debunking was overturned. Again, the Tuskegee syphilis study. So, for years, officials and others dismissed these claims as exaggerations and falsehoods, but many people provided a lot of evidence that the U.S. Public Health Service had conducted unethical syphilis experiments on African American men without their consent. Everybody denied it. Later on, it was proven to be true. Project MK Ultra. Everybody denied it. Later on, we all know it's true now. Yeah, everybody said the CIA wasn't doing it. It's all BS. Debunked. Later, the records were released. MK Ultra is real. Watergate scandal. From the Oval Office on down, everybody was denying it. Too much information came out. Watergate ended up being true after it was debunked. The FBI's COINTELPRO. The initial claim was an activist, especially from civil rights and anti-war movements, claimed that the FBI was spying on them, infiltrating and attempting to sabotage their organizations. The same thing the CIA does to the truther community. How many times have I talked about that, guys? Infiltrating the truther community in order to overturn shit. Look at all the drama that I went through with J Dreamers, who evidently got in bed with the wrong people, man, because they haven't really supported him since he started openly attacking me and was partially responsible for me going to jail. Yeah, look at him. Truther community is absolutely infected with these operatives, and they sign contracts, they give money to different people, and then they pull the rug from them when they're unsuccessful at what they do. I've been attacked by so many other truthers. You guys know this, especially my Archaix veterans men. I mean, how many other truthers do you know had the U.S. Marshals ride down on them? Jason did, went to jail too. So, yeah, guys, it's crazy what's going on. All debunked. FBI's COINTEL didn't exist. Man, it's crazy. Y'all are conspiracy theorists. Conspiracy theorist, a term invented by the CIA to debunk conspiracy theories. So, crazy. Now we know COINTELPRO was real. It's been proven, it's been documented. Don't even deny it anymore. Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. There ain't no way. Saddam Hussein, he had all these weapons of mass destruction. We had to go in there. We had to neutralize that threat. Yeah, we went in there and stratobombed 800,000 civilians. Yeah, we did that for Israel. The Bush administration did that for Israel. Stratobombed all those innocent people. Wasn't even a military target. Turn around. We had to do something. Saddam Hussein had nuclear weapons. Weapons of mass destruction. He had chemical weapons. Yeah, crazy. All proven to be lies. And you guys know the history of Agent Orange. The government denied Agent Orange for Vietnam for years and years. Now almost every single veteran is getting medical benefits because they were affected by Agent Orange. Totally debunked, but now they're shitting out all that money to pay for those guys. So when it comes to video falsification and video manipulation in this context, the process involves creating a fabricated or manipulated version of a real event by replicating it and adding fake elements. This is all I'm saying. I believe Ashton Forbes hit the nail on the head, but we must remain open to the possibility that although this was a real event and this may be real footage, it could have been doctored. So in the future, somebody could produce more evidence. It's bait and switch. Evidence showing that little part was fake. which gets the public to think the whole thing's fake. This is also an intelligence operation. It's one it's called deep fake disinformation, and it's used a lot. It's a tactic that's been used against a lot of people. So I've been running my mouth long enough, guys. I put this together. I've been running my mouth, and I need to get Ashton Forbes in here. An hour and 20. Wow. I think I even told him an hour and 20 minutes. I did that in an hour and 18 minutes. Wow. All right, guys. I invited Ashton this morning. I was trying to find his email. I couldn't find it. I had one that didn't work. He got back with me on Twitter, and we made this happen. He's in studio right now. So without further ado, I'm going to remove this footage here, and I'm going to introduce you guys to Ashton Forbes. How you doing, Mr. Forbes?
Jason, nice to meet you, sir.
Man, I'm sorry I made you wait so long, but I had to get all that out.
I'm just doing work stuff on the side anyway. I can only stay for a little bit, but thank you so much for doing this presentation in general. I think that more than anything, no matter what side you are on in terms of your opinion on the videos, if you think they're fake, if you think they're real, if you think it's aliens, if you think it's government, these videos deserve scrutiny. I mean, this is just way too much detail, a real case. You know, if you ask skeptics, it has every single thing that they would ask for. High quality footage from military assets, 2 different videos from 2 different angles. You've got stuff in infrared, you've got thermal, you've got a real world event. We've got a plane that's still missing 10 years later. You know, if we were talking about this in 2015, I think you could make the argument, well, hang on, we're going to find it next year or whatever. But they searched for 3 years straight and they found absolutely nothing. Like you pointed out, the black boxes, nothing. Not one piece of the plane in the South Indian Ocean, nothing down there. They have ELTs, these emergency transponders that can't be deactivated, that only go off during a crash, nothing. So at some point, you've got to ask, what really happened to this plane? And to your point about the United States government surveillance apparatus, we've got the most powerful surveillance apparatus in the world. There's no point on this earth that we are not mapping. From sound surveillance, satellite capabilities, even if you don't believe in satellite capabilities, if you believe in the video capabilities of the government, and then also with radar as well that can see for thousands of miles. So there's no chance the plane disappeared. If you would entertain me for a minute, I want to make I took a few quick notes here for you, and I'd love to get your feedback. But so as I said, for me, the biggest things is that we've got a mouse cursor on the screen. Like we can tell somebody's at a computer doing a screen recording and they're logged into a database. And there's coordinates in the bottom left that are the real location of this plane. That alone.
Wow. Okay, so you just introduced a new item that I was unfamiliar with. I was assuming that cursor was yours because you had recorded you had the video and you were pointing things out. But now it makes sense because I watched how the cursor was kind of erratic. Like what is the cursor doing? So that's really interesting. So somebody was monitoring this in real time.
And so we looked up how these satellites operate. They take the camera data or the sensor data. It doesn't have to be like cameras. It doesn't even have to be optical. And they send the data to ground-based computers. And then people log into those computers, and you can just say, pull up this location on Earth. And now you're looking at video footage. And that's what was going on here. Somebody logged into the database afterwards. And we know because the frame rate in the background is only 6 frames per second. The frame rate of that cursor coming on the screen, I guess it comes from over here for you guys, is 24 frames per second. That's perfectly consistent with a Citrix remote terminal session logged into a real database. And we know they're looking at a wider field of view because you see the mouse come off the screen, like where my finger is, and it comes onto the screen. They press start recording up here somewhere, and then it comes down onto the screen. And when the perspective changes, the mouse is stationary. Why? Because they're using like a middle mouse click capability to like move the screen around. So like hold down the middle mouse click and move the screen around. And then the coordinates, the fact that there's coordinates, I mean, come on, guys. There's coordinates in the bottom left. It's the real location of the plane in the Nicobar Islands. And, you know, to me, that's just huge. But the fact that we've got 2 leaked military videos, I identified the leaker as Edward C. Lynn. He was a lieutenant commander. He worked in these spy planes. He would have had access to both videos. His whole case is shrouded in mystery. The timeline is perfect for him to leak the videos. The videos are in infrared and thermal. And we've proven they're from 2014, like between 4 and 70 days, at the most 70 days after the plane disappeared. It's like that should be enough for people, isn't it? Like, shouldn't it? And then to your point,
Yeah,
it's like, well, to me, the only thing that could even be possible is that the government faked the videos themselves. But the problem with
right,
that is that they're just implicating themselves. That's a General Atomics U.S. Navy drone right there, filming
you're
that
right,
in the thermals. So it's like, if why would they implicate themselves in the disappearance of the plane? That's like the murderer making a video of themselves stabbing somebody. Why would you do
right,
that? Makes no sense. And the
right.
plane's
So
still missing. The plane's still missing. So if
I'm
any,
on board. I'm on board.
yeah.
It's incredible the amount of detail that you've done going isolating all these particulars because that's where it's at.
Oh yeah, let me
And
address that too, because you made a great point that not a lot of critical thinkers, not a lot of people are critical thinkers, but you say you got to dig into the minutia of it. Debunkers just try to claim like, here, I'm going to poke one hole and then I don't have to address any of your arguments. I don't have to build a story. I don't have to explain who the hoaxer is. I don't have to explain how they made it. I don't have to explain anything. I'm just going to say that this is a VFX and that's it. So let me drop a quick fact on you. The 2017 DoD Navy videos of the UFO videos or whatever, the FLIR footage that they released in 2017 that they declassified, those videos had been on the internet for 10 years as well. And the same exact debunkers, the same exact ones that debunked these videos, that claim these videos were fake, they claimed they had found a matching VFX from some random German website that proved that those videos were fake. And they were conclusively debunked for 10 years until the DoD and the Navy came out and said, nope, they're real. And did any of those debunkers apologize? Did they ever give up and say, yep, we were wrong? No, none of
they
them
never
ever
do.
admitted that they were wrong.
Ashton, you probably haven't been following my community at all, but I've got call outs on I'm talking about major names of people putting things out. It's kind of like my trademark. I'm a data guy and I have no problem releasing full data sets on everything that I promote. And I call all these people out. And it's the same thing. Even though I have dissected Graham Hancock and Billy Carson and Jimmy Corsetti and Matt LaCroix and all these people putting out these fake versions of history, and I give my public full data sets for free. They can download all these PDFs where they can see this information. And I still get nothing. Radio silence from all these professionals that put all these books and documentaries and Netflix docuseries. And even though they've been absolutely proven wrong in shut book cases, not a single apology, not a single even reference of hey man, good work. I didn't know this. Thank you for educating me. I started off kind of friendly, but I've gotten a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, and so that's why it's important to really dig into the facts and present the facts. So that's why when you see me do interviews with people, I often repeat, I'm not asking for people to believe me. I'm just saying, here's all the facts. Here's my opinion of the scenario. To me, it's completely undeniable that the videos are real. The plane's still missing. And most people just have this difficult time with the exotic technology, which I saw a lot of your video, the clips you were showing, especially in the beginning of your presentation, which, wow, there's so many videos of orbs in a triangle formation, like all over.
Can you believe that doorbell cam, 2:30 in the morning, pick that up? It's
And it's like, okay,
amazing.
some of them are fake. Are they all fake? Again, like only one needs to be real for it to all be real.
Right.
So
Well,
it's
see,
like,
this is where the archaics analysis comes in, because my whole premise is that you and I are jacked into this holography via the central nervous system, and it is an interface that allows a spiritual being to believe that it's in a physical construct, and we're not. This is a perceivable reality, not a real reality. This is my central premise, and I use the historical record to show that we're living in a simulated context. This is the whole point of my channel, and I've got 800 videos, and about 600 that's the theme. So when I wanted to present your material, I wanted to do so first by showing the historical. Look, we've got all these references from the 1800s and all these references to before World War II of the exact same triangular formation in the sky. So if we have that type of precedent, and then we have a 2,000-year-old reference by Pliny the Elder in natural history, then we're dealing with something that is quite ancient, which is also a part of the archaics paradigm, because I'm always showing that almost every mystery and enigma from the ancient world is explainable once you realize that there is a very advanced civilization just below us. And
so
this is I'm just introducing you to the archaics position.
Yeah, if people saw him, I don't think we disagree as much as you think either in terms of like what happened. Because if you look at I did my kind of coy non-human intelligence power rankings the other night, and right at the top is Breakaway Ancient Civilization. That's my number one current, highest rated thing. If I was just to throw odds on it in general, just based on what I've learned now. So, and the reason why I think that is that, like you said, I think it goes back to the World War II, the Foo Fighters, and then after that, I think the paperclip, Operation Paperclip, or whatever it's called, with the Nazis, where we took those scientists. I think we figured out anti-gravity and 0 point energy around the same time with the Manhattan Project in the 40s. And
Right.
then at some point in the last 20 or 30 years, you've noticed that UFOs have predominantly gone from being flying saucers to now energy orbs are in my opinion, the number one predominant sighting that we're seeing out there. And the only reason why in this case I think this is our technology is that I'm not ruling out where it came from. In fact, I'm leaving that pretty open-ended. The more I learn about
Mhm.
it, the less I'm sure. I just know at this point, I've seen all the peer-reviewed published scientific papers from
Right.
Hal Prunoff explaining 0 point energy, Ken Shoulders on exotic vacuum objects, which are just balls of coherent plasma, just like we see in those videos, where it's like, obviously we figured out whether or not those people just saw it and then they, were able to deduce what it is, or if we figured it out naturally. I leave that mystery up to people like you and your audience to kind of dig more into that. But it does explain a lot of things if it is ancient history, because if there are non-human intelligence and they came from our own planet, they potentially would look a lot like us. That's a great way
Yes,
to
they
blend
would.
in, right? And now you just have this
Absolutely.
advanced technology and you kind of pull the puppet strings behind the scenes and you can blend in with the environment. And yet you just have this technology that's, so much more beyond what we're at right now currently, that when people see the videos, they just think this can't be real. Like, I haven't been told this. It's so much beyond what we think is currently possible, but it's not. And just to add on to that, like you mentioned some really great points when you were analyzing the videos. I think my favorite part was the vectoring. The vectoring, you can see the first orb vectoring onto the plane, honing in on the plane. It circles on the side of it for one rotation, and then it obviously locks in. And you can
Mhm.
actually tell the second and third orb, when they lock in on
Yep.
the plane, they already know exactly where they're going. They don't have
Yep.
to do the little vectoring, because the first orb gets a vector, the second orb creates one end of the triangle, and then the third orb comes in, creates a perfect triangle formation, and now it's perfectly oriented, spinning around the plane. To me, that's really advanced. I thought that must be some kind of AI or advanced supercomputer that's able to pull that off. But there's also this
Mhm.
idea of, like, my number two thing on non-human intelligence is conscious plasma, which would be this idea that these balls of plasma themselves could be a conscious entity, where it's like you would compare it almost to like a jellyfish. Like, is a jellyfish alive? Like, clearly it's alive, but what's its level of consciousness? And maybe there could be something similar going on with the plasma orbs. I think Chris Bledsoe and other people think they can summon them or whatever. I'm not
Okay.
ruling all that out.
Let me offer you. We've already discussed this ad nauseum in Archaix, and what I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just going to simplify it all. We're dealing with a phenomenon that is always operating based off the collective frames of reference. In the 14th century, they saw trolls and hobwalkies. In the 15th century, there were elves, and all the way into the 16th century. In the late 17th century, Christianity had taken over all of Northern Europe, and now they were seeing mowing devils. And in the 18th century, 19th century, it was demons. But in every incident where these creatures were seen, crop circles appeared the next morning. And sometimes there were children that were disoriented as if they had been through something in the night. These accounts are in the thousands. So what I'm saying is it goes by frames of reference. In the 12th century, they saw men in black with long robes wearing these weird, like bird-like masks. And every time they would see these, plague would break out. But in ancient Babylon, it was a hag, a 9 foot tall hag, and plague would break out after she was seen. It's the same. It's the exact same thing that was seen in ancient Ireland in the Finns in what was called Black Annis. well, this is Britain, ancient Britain. Black Annis was a 9-foot tall hag, and when she would appear, there would be disease in the village. People would see it. What I'm saying is we're dealing with a phenomenon that is able to tap into the collective belief system and appear as it would be accepted by the contemporaries.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying this is because you mentioned UFOs have changed, and I'm going to tell you that that's not true. Not that you're a liar, but it goes by frames of reference. In old times, it was the will-o-wisp. It was an orb, and the orb sometimes called fairies, and that's how they would be regarded. But then we got saturated with media programming that made us see flying saucers everywhere. The human collective now sees these flying silver discs, so that's what they appear like. And even the few times we've snapped pictures or video of them, they appeared as we expected them to appear. Meaning, you're correct. We're dealing with an AI apparatus that is deceitfully using our own beliefs against us.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then you could also even connect to some people. A lot of people mention the idea of jinn or angels and demons and things like that as well.
Right.
I could see it's really a matter of, like you said, your frame of reference, your matter of perspective from the times that you are around. So I think that's interesting. I also think the idea of the ancient, if it's an ancient breakaway civilization, one thing I want to point out is that it's not that I necessarily think it's the government in this case. I think it's the defense contractors, the private corporations. When you look at the covert administrative elite, some people call it the deep state. It's
Right.
not as simple as it's just these people who work in the government, just intel agencies. It's certain people in certain intel agencies like the CIA and the NSA who have connections with certain defense contractors, private contractors in military, energy, and then the other various giant corporations that are at the top. And these people all talk to one another. They have their own social circles. And that's really what we're dealing with here. So the main reason why this particular video it has to be connected to the U.S. government is that the U.S. government's filming it, and they're filming it before the orbs even show up. That they're looking at and they're
That's a
expecting
good
something.
point. That's a really good point.
And the operator themselves actually knows what's about to happen. We know because they're zooming in on the plane to get the best intelligence. That drone video is just, it's the Rosetta Stone for all of physics.
Right. Can
They
I offer
zoom-
you a theory on that?
Hold on one second. Let me just finish and then you can jump in. But yeah, so they zoom in on the plane. They get this highly detailed heat signature of the orbs. You can see this cold fusion happening. And then right before the zap, what do? They zoom out. And so they can get the perfect angle on it. And once the plane disappears, the operator's not freaking out looking for it, right? Like they're like, okay, operation over, time for lunch. Sorry, go ahead.
That is interesting. I hope I didn't lose you just now. Oh, there you are. Okay. Yeah, that you make a very good, it's a very valid point. We were already filming it. So but I have a theory, and it's a theory that goes back 4 years on my channel. And it also goes back thousands of years to some of our original, the oldest religious beliefs about the pre-flood world and what happened in exchange. It was an agreement where men on the surface made an agreement with another race that was very different from them, and they exchanged technology for human females. This is a tradition that goes way back to the ancient world, and I cited it. I've got many videos about it. But as I said, 1962, the United States or the military-industrial complex, it acting independent of the United States as a political structure. Like you said, it's a good, the deep state. They made an agreement for the exchange of technology for human females. This has been going on. This has been going on. Now, I'm going to take it to another level. I'm going to say that these exchanges since 1962 are still going on, and they're planned. And maybe the exchange says, listen, we need a few hundred right now during this 6-month period, and they're giving the surface, the humans, the deep state, the ability to pick and choose. So they pick and choose flights that have people on them that are detrimental to deep state activities. You follow me?
Yeah, I mean, I leave those theories and opinions for other people to figure out. For me, it's just like I feel like I've done my part here, to contribute.
You've done a fantastic job, no doubt.
And what I would say is this with respect to why the big question for me is why are they hiding this technology? Whatever the origin is, whatever agreements may have, like why are they hiding this from us? And it took me a while to come to this conclusion, but after I really started digging into what these plasma orbs are, what they're capable of, I started to realize this is about free energy. This is about an energy source that's out there that we have not tapped into, that would obsolete all fossil fuels overnight, that
Mhm.
would allow for energy densities that are required in order to, actually zap something out of the sky like we see. And that's what they're afraid of, because if you have infinite energy, you can destroy the whole planet, you can destroy the whole solar system, you can make a black hole, you might be able to create a big bang. Really, the sky's the limit. And so you look at it from the danger perspective. There's people out there that in their own minds, they're the main character, they're noble, they think they're hiding it because it's dangerous and we'll destroy
Mhm.
ourselves. There's also evil people out there that think, well, they're greedy. And they go, if you do this, if we have infinite energy, if we can actually manifest hydrogen out of the space around us and
Mhm.
produce transmute elements, then we have no scarcity anymore on this planet. What
Yes,
happens?
it's the most common element. You're right.
Yeah, and hydrogen is the lightest and most common element and be the first one that you're manifesting out of the ether, out of the 0 point energy field. And then from there, you can transmute elements and produce anything that you want with the right
Okay,
technology. With the
well, how about this? What about looking at it altruistically a little bit? What if giving that type of free energy to unethical, immoral populations would create significant problems? Uh,
100%. And I'm about to clip a segment where Lou Elizondo, he's one of these, he's 100% controlled by the government. He's only releasing the information that the government has signed off, but he gave it away on Jesse Michaels' interview yesterday. I think it uploaded. You guys can find it, where he basically asked Jesse Michaels, like, hey, if this is about free energy, how do you release that safely to people? Who's the person that is the gatekeeper of that makes sure that we don't destroy ourselves with it when you have these various warring factions? Heck, I'm 100% sure that when it does get released, and it is real 100%, that there are going to be cults that are going to form around it. Like we're going to be the doomsday cult that destroys the planet
yeah,
because of the end times. We're the
right.
ones who ushered it in, right? And it's like, how do you prevent that from happening? For with a technology that's so powerful that somebody with the right lab setup could produce it in their garage. How do you
Yeah.
prevent
So, Ashton, what about also this scenario? If free energy was available, like you said, you have a lot of entrepreneuring souls out here who would be inventing their own apparatus. But how would you regulate it? Because oil and gas and in the oil and gas and electricity and solar is all highly regulated and easy to control. You would never be able to control free energy.
Yeah, that's a big problem is that once scarcity goes away, how does our economy even run anymore? Like how do you divide up resources when there's no limit anymore? Where how do you prevent one person from using, what do you so what is the limit for a person for using resources when there really is no limit anymore? And I think that's another thing that we struggle with, where our entire society, our entire way of life has to change. And I think that
That's
those are the
amazing.
questions that we have to answer. I don't know.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, uh, as we close this video, Ashton, I just like to know I invited you for your commentary, and because you're due the honor of bringing this to the public's attention the most and done the most, like I said, minutia in it. If you have any open criticisms about anything, I'm more than welcome to hear those out as well. It's but this has been a great talk, and I'm glad you answered the call, even though it was such late notice.
Oh, no, no problem. Honestly, I don't really have any major criticisms, which I think is high praise because usually when I listen to some of these mainstream reviews of MH370, they ignore 80% of the evidence. They come to all these conclusions that are completely illogical, not supported by the evidence. And like I always tell people, people can believe whatever they want to believe about the origins of the technology, about who they think took the plane or whatever. That's totally fine by me.
Yeah,
I just want the truth. Like there was 239 people on that plane. They've
yeah,
disappeared off the face of the earth, and
yep.
their families got no answers 10 years later. That is horrific. And this
I
technology
agree.
will change our
I
entire
agree.
planet. It'll change our entire planet. So it's like almost a crime against humanity to keep it from us. And even if it does lead to doomsday or a complete overhaul of our civilization, we should be the ones that determine that. not some random bureaucrats and deep state operatives to determine what happens with us. Like, that should be for us to decide. That's the reason why I do what I do. That's the reason why I expose this information, even though I do think that it could be detrimental to us, that we need to have these conversations. So thank you, Archaix and Jason, for bringing this to people's attention.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, hey guys, Ashton Forbes YouTube channel and his X page, I guess you call it a channel, a page. They're both in the description box. I would check him out. He's got other video clips I didn't show. He's got other reports. He's got a lot of detail on this deal. But I'm gonna go ahead and close this video out. But I'm going to show the full 20 minutes of all the video footage that I've already shown in one spot right here, so you guys can continue to engage in chat. I'll engage with you, and I'm going to get this rolling, and we're going to say goodbye to Ashton. Appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Jason. Peace, everybody.
That's a great guest. I'm glad he joined us. Guys, I'm going to present everything you saw in one video. I've already prepared it. Let me find it real quick. Here it is. My outro. Love you guys.